Good morning, welcome back to my channel. Today is a very busy day for me, but I also want to get in a workout, make sure to nourish my body with all of the foods that make me happy and make me feel my best.
And also prioritize sleep and not get too stressed by my crazy schedule.
So I figured I would take you through my day, and as I go, give you my tips that I implement to accomplish those things in the context of a busy schedule. So basically, tips to stay fit and healthy when you have no time. If you struggle with this, feeling like you don't have enough time to do the things that you need to do to be fit, be healthy, accomplish your fitness goals, whatever it may be, let me know down in the comments what your specific struggles are, because I could give an infinite number of tips based on an infinite number of situations. And so I'd love to circle back to this. I have something in my eye. Not going away. Anyway, love to circle back to this at some point to give even more tips for you guys. So I told you guys like 2 weeks ago that I decided to take my own wellness challenge that I launched in January called 35 Thrive. If you heard me ramble about it, don't worry, I won't ramble about it. But for those of you who don't know, essentially for 35 days you do 5 things every day. Number 1 being eating only whole and processed foods. 2, I just definitely swapped that. Number 1 is exercising 30 minutes every day. 2, whole and processed foods. 3, go to sleep 9 hours before you have to wake up. Number 4, I'm gonna get the order wrong, write down 3 things that you're grateful for every single day. And then number 5, limit yourself to 1 hour of social media use every day. And as such, I am in the midst of this challenge and I am eating only whole and processed foods today. And I just bring this up because in the Facebook group for the challenge, which by the way, if you join the challenge, you can join the Facebook group, highly recommend. But in the Facebook group, someone asked what a good option for coffee creamer is, because so many coffee creamers are full of so many just hyper processed things that they are not technically compliant with the challenge. And I gave my answer in the group, but I'm gonna give y'all my answer right now. For anyone else that might be wondering, what coffee creamer does for your coffee is essentially make it creamy, make it taste good. So that's what we're gonna do, but without using a conventional coffee creamer. So for the cream part, I buy just like whole fat raw cream and then freeze it into little cubes. And so I just take out one of these frozen cubes and plonk it straight into my hot coffee, and you get a lot of delicious, rich creaminess out of that. And then optional, but just for a little bit more thickness and just to get some protein in, I add some collagen. And then to get the sweetness in, you can add honey or maple syrup, depending on your taste. One of my favorite things to add in is the Manuka honey from Manukora. We all know honey itself is really good for you, but Manukora takes it to a whole other level with the quality of their Manuka honey. First of all, look at how thick with like 10 C's that is. But this is a single origin, essentially like superfood honey that comes from bees that specifically only eat nectar from the Manuka plant. And the thing with Manuka honey compared to regular honey, it's essentially just a lot more concentrated in antioxidants and antibacterial properties. And then the MGO is the natural antibacterial compound that is unique to Manuka honey. And you might be worried because antibiotics, not a great thing to be taking usually, but in the context of natural antibacterial compounds found in the Manuka honey, it's actually really good at killing off specifically the bad bacteria in your gut, but not the good bacteria. Like, it's not like an antibiotic that you would get from a doctor that just like decimates your gut. So like, don't worry about that. So if you're trying to essentially make your own coffee creamer and you need a sweetener to add to it, I cannot recommend this enough. And if you do want to try it out, you can go to manukora.com/fitandnerdy, and this will get you $25 off their starter kit. And then last thing that we add into the coffee to get the same effect as the coffee creamer is something to add some flavor, if you so choose. I love cinnamon honey lattes, so I am just going to add in a little bit of cinnamon, but you could do vanilla, you could do cacao powder, you could do almond extract if you wanted, I suppose. And then you blend. Oh God, is it gonna go over the edge? No, we're good. And my time-saving tip for this would be if you find like a ratio and a recipe that you really like, just blend a whole batch in advance and then freeze it. into the cubes, or don't freeze it if you know you're gonna go through it before the milk spoils, but I don't make this every single day, so I freeze my cream so that it doesn't go bad, because it goes bad in like a couple days. But you can literally just take your cream, take your honey, take your other flavors, whatever you want to add in, just blend it up and then throw that in the fridge and you have your coffee creamer ready to go. You don't have to do individual ingredients every day. Days like this are also why I try to not have full calf coffee every day. I feel like every time I vlog I have coffee, but I think in my head it's just more fun, and I want my vlogs to be fun. What's more fun than making your own latte or going on a little coffee walk? But I don't actually have coffee every single day. I try to keep it to like 2 to 3 times a week. If I'm being honest, it's probably closer to 3 to 4 times a week on average, but either way, it's not every single day. But because I don't have coffee every day and I'm not like physiologically adapted to it, I still get all of the benefits of caffeine. So I get more of that like mental sharpness, little bit of a boost in energy, which I could use today to get all my work done. But when you drink caffeine every single day, your body adapts to it and you don't get that same boost. You just need the caffeine to get to baseline. So my goal with my caffeine consumption is just make it so that whenever I do have caffeine, it's a boost. It's not like what I need to get me to feeling baseline human. And now it is breakfast time. Not gonna lie, this is probably not the most time efficient meal, but I had these ingredients and I was craving this, so I made it anyway. But I made some sweet potato hash browns just by shredding up some sweet potato and cooking it in some butter with some salt, pepper, and a little nutritional yeast. And then as I was letting that finish cooking, I threw on some green onion and some mozzarella cheese. Made 2 strips of uncured nitrate-free bacon. And then honestly, the part of this that is saving me time and is a tip that I recommend doing is I recently learned how to cook eggs in a stainless steel pan, and oh my god, first of all, well, I mean, maybe I just suck at cooking as a whole, but I used to always overcook my eggs. They were just not great and it took me forever. But in this stainless steel, it takes me like 2 minutes to cook the eggs and they come out perfect every time, and it's a miracle.
Holy moly, this is good.
That sweet potato, oh my god, I'm doing this every day for the rest of my life. This is like candy, but like high protein, high fat, high fiber candy. But my takeaway tip from this meal is if you don't have a lot of experience cooking and you feel like you're really slow at cooking, and so cooking your food just takes way too much time, then I would say investing a little bit more time up front is going to save you a lot more time in the long run. So investing time learning cooking techniques, learning faster ways of doing things, learning the proper technique for using a knife to chop vegetables, like all the little things that you can get a little bit better at in the kitchen are going to save you a lot of time in the long run. And the more skills and techniques you can learn in the kitchen, the more variety you have to play around with depending on what you're trying to make, and that can ultimately help you condense the amount of time that it takes. And if your argument there is, I don't have the time to do it, I would take a look at your schedule and see if you can sacrifice some time elsewhere for just a week or 2 to learn this new skill so that you can then implement it. So, you know, maybe you forego watching your favorite show for 2 hours every night for like a week or 2 and instead spend that time watching cooking videos or trying new recipes. And the great thing with that is that doesn't have to be a forever change. Like, you don't have to give up your favorite show forever. Give it up for like a little bit to have the time to learn the new skill that's gonna save you more time in the long run. I just had a chiropractor appointment. I didn't film this one, but got a little bit of footage from the last one, so I can throw that up here. But I have really been enjoying going to the chiropractor. I feel like it's making a difference. As I told you guys before, I have a pretty bad imbalance in my spine. It's just quite crooked. And so I'm going to the chiropractor to try to help with that. And it's obviously not something that's going to be corrected overnight. I'm on a 3-month treatment plan, essentially. And so at the end of 3 months, we're gonna redo the x-rays, redo the mobility tests and all that, and see what the difference is. But even so far, it's been like 3 or 4 weeks, and I have noticed a reduction in pain that I didn't even know was there. Like when I drive and I go to change lanes and I look over my left shoulder to see if anyone's coming, I had totally forgotten that I feel a slight pain in my neck when that happens. Like, it's always just been like a little bit tight and hurts just a smidge to do that. And so I had like adjusted how I look over my shoulder in order to do it without pain. And I went to look over my shoulder the other day and I was like, whoa, like it feels different. Like there's no
pain. Then I can also feel a difference in my running gait, and so that's been really interesting. So if any of you live in LA, highly recommend Life Center Chiropractic for all of your chiropractic needs. Dr. Brooke is amazing, clearly knows what he's doing, very, very intuitive as well, which is just a really cool experience. Overall, liking it so far. I'll keep you guys updated on progress. Also, side note, Brew Doctor came out with a new flavor, cherry limeade, and it's freaking delicious. This is probably all I'm gonna buy from now on. I mean, that's not true. There's a lot of other kombuchas that I really like, but I'm gonna stock up on this one because, wow.
So I have a 1 hour window in my schedule right now to get to the gym, get my workout in, get back, get situated, etc., and do all the stuff that I need to do before I have to get into a meeting. And so all in all, that gives me about 35, maybe 40 minutes in the actual gym to do my actual workout. So gonna have to apply some of the tips that I'm about to give you on how to get in a super quick and super effective workout when you are on a time crunch. My first tip was gonna be one that I was gonna apply today, but it's raining, and that was gonna be if you can work out at home. That saves you so much time, like traveling to and from the gym. I have a home gym set up out there. I love using it when it's nice outside in the summer, but right now it's raining. And honestly, I probably could like just bring some dumbbells inside and get in a workout, but thankfully my gym is very, very close to my house, so I'm not actually losing too much time by going to the gym. But if you feel like having your total workout time take half an hour less would help you be more regular with getting your workouts in, be more consistent, be able to reach your goals, then cutting out that time that it takes to get to the gym, park, get into the gym, do all the things, leave the gym, whatever, is gonna save you a lot of time. And so investing at least in some like adjustable dumbbells or something that you can have at home, even if it's not to do it every time, if it's just to do it like when you are running low on time, that could be invaluable. So I'm gonna go to the gym right now, get my workout in, and then when I can, I will walk you guys through like different thought processes that I have for how to shorten workouts so that you can still get a really effective workout in, but in like 35 minutes tops. So first things first, no matter how much time I have in the gym, even if I have to be in and out in like 20 minutes, I will never skip a warm-up. It will always be better to have to cut back on your workout in order to do a warm-up than it will be to get injured doing your workout because you didn't warm up. So I will always spend at least 3 to 5 minutes warming up. I will start with just a little bit of cardio to get my heart rate up, to get my core body temperature up, and then I'll do some more functional range of motion type movements that are gonna kind of roughly mimic what I'm gonna do in the workout, just to get the muscles firing and get the pathway from the brain to the muscle firing. That way, once you add load, your body is already ready for it and you're a lot less likely to get injured. Also, doing a warm-up allows you to get so much more out of the exercises because your body is already warmed up and ready for them. So even though it might feel like you're sacrificing some of your workout in order to warm up, the workout that you are able to do will be more effective than if you had skipped the warm-up. So never skip your warm-up. And then when it comes to shortening a workout and making sure it's still super effective, I'm just gonna use my workout plan for today as an example and kind of talk through the different ways that I could have modified it. So the full workout that I had planned for today originally was 3 sets, 10 to 12 reps of sumo deadlift, 3 sets, 10 to 12 reps of hip thrusts, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps of single leg press, 3 sets of 10 reps of lying leg curls, and then 3 sets of 12 reps of cable hip abduction. So that workout in itself is not super long. It would maybe take me about 45 minutes in a gym that's not super busy, but I still wanted to cut it down by about half. And there's a couple decent options here. So the one I went with is prioritizing the compound sets, just getting rid of any isolation exercises and then adding an extra set. The adding an extra set, super optional, depends on kind of how you're feeling, the overall workout programming, how much time you have. But I felt pretty confident here that I could add an extra set to everything, still feel pretty good, not be pushing myself like way too hard or anything. And I'd be able to get it done in the time that I needed to. So what that looks like for this workout is essentially just getting rid of the lying leg curl and the cable abduction, and then instead of doing 3 sets of the deadlift, the hip thrust, and the single leg press, doing 4 sets of all of those. So that's what I did, and it took me like 25 minutes, so I was in and out pretty darn fast. And the reason this is a really good strategy is that compound exercises hit a lot more muscle groups than isolation exercises. So you're just getting a lot more bang for your buck with the compound exercises. So if you need to cut corners, you might as well cut the corners that aren't giving you as much benefit as the other corners. And in cutting out those isolation exercises, I wasn't cutting out any muscle groups. I was still working all of those muscle groups with the exercises that I kept in. So the lying leg curl is hitting hamstrings, while the deadlifts hit my hamstrings. The cable abductions were hitting my abductors, and those are also hit in the sumo deadlift. So I was decreasing the total volume placed on those muscle groups, but I was still making sure to hit them. So that's usually my favorite way to shorten a workout for the given reasons, because I was still probably able to get like 80 to 85% out of that workout that I would have gotten had I had the full amount of time, especially because I added an extra set to everything. But even if I hadn't, like, I'd still be getting most of the workout out of my workout, into as far as like total volume, intensity, muscle activation, calorie burn, etc. go. And I was able to do it in like half the amount of time. And especially going to the gym at like peak hours when it's super busy, cutting down on the number of exercises makes things quite a bit easier, because you don't have like the waiting around time and also just the setup time between machines. My second favorite way to modify a workout to make it shorter is just to get rid of a set of like pretty much everything. So instead of doing 3 sets of everything, I would just do 2 sets of everything. And maybe I'd still do like 3 sets of the like main compound lift of the workout. So maybe I'd keep like 3 sets of the sumo deadlift and do 2 of everything else. It depends on how much time I have, but that's just a really quick, easy way to cut things down. And then of course you could do like any combination of those 2 things, right? So you could do 3 sets of the compound exercises and then maybe only 2 sets of the first isolation exercise, and then just cut out the last isolation exercise. The goal here is essentially to prioritize the compound lifts and then do what you can with the isolation exercises depending on how much time you have. And the one caveat that I will add here is if you have like a very specific goal, like aesthetically, and you're trying to focus on a very specific muscle group, maybe don't prioritize the compound lift that doesn't hit that muscle group and instead prioritize the isolation lift that does hit that muscle group. But if you're just going for like the most bang for your buck when it comes to getting as much out of your workout as you can, you're gonna wanna prioritize the compound lifts. And then the next thing that you really want to focus on when you are cutting down on your total workout volume is prioritizing intensity. When you're only doing 80, 75, 50% of the total volume that you should be doing, you really want to try to make up for that in intensity. Not make up for it in the sense that you're pushing yourself way too hard to the point of potentially injuring yourself, but just making every rep count. So really focusing on form, making that mind to muscle connection, maybe slowing down the rep a smidge. This is gonna increase your time under tension and make the intensity a lot greater. So personally, what I did for this workout is I pushed my weights this week. First of all, I was feeling strong enough, feeling really good enough to be able to do that. So I wasn't just like pushing it to the point where I was like, I don't know if I can do this, I might hurt myself. Like, no, I felt very confident in the amount of weight that I was using. I've been using less weight recently because I've been focusing on running, and so I felt like I knew I could do more, and so I added a little bit more. And then something else that you can throw in, make sure you're doing it in a safe way, especially if you're trying to do this with compound lifts, because I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing this with like a squat. But for some exercises, it might be appropriate to add in set variations like drop sets and rest pause sets. So I finished off my workout with the single leg press, and once I did the last set of the single leg press, I went straight into a 2-leg press, so like a normal leg press, and just did that to failure. Just squeezing out all of the last bit of intensity that I could out of my legs. One thing I would not recommend doing for most people, generally for most workouts, in order to condense your workout, is shortening rest times. And this is obviously going to depend on the workout, but if you're doing a similar style of training to what I would normally do in the gym, like a standard hypertrophy style workout, shortening your rest time is going to make you more prone to injury, and it's going to make it harder to get as much out of the workout, because if you only rest 30 seconds instead of 60 seconds, you're going to be a lot more fatigued going into that next set, and so you're probably not going to be able to get as many reps out as you would otherwise. You're going to get a lot more out of making sure all of your reps are are really good quality than you are out of rushing through the sets because you're condensing the rest times and like squeezing in an extra exercise. And then some final super quick tips. Number one is just the organization and the order of the workout. If you can just order things in a way that makes the most sense logically for your gym setup, that can help. Doing all of your barbell exercises back to back is really gonna help, because setting up and taking down a barbell just adds so much extra time to the workout. Like, the only reason I don't like leg day is just having to put weights on the barbell and take them off. And then when I'm really pressed for time, I will just not use a barbell because it can take so much extra time, especially with deadlifts and hip thrusts when you're setting stuff up on the floor. So instead, I'll swap that out for like dumbbell work, and I'll just make sure that, you know, my form is impeccable. I'm going slow. I'm really just squeezing the muscles that I'm trying to target. And like, no, I'm not moving nearly as much weight, but I get through those workouts so freaking fast because all I gotta do is pick up a dumbbell and go. So like, especially if you're not doing this all the time, if this is just like a once in a while thing, like, don't shy away from just ignoring all of the complicated things to set up and just grabbing dumbbells and modifying your workout to be dumbbell only. And then last tip, stay off social media while you're doing your workouts. Any of you that are doing 35 Thrive with me have probably already kicked this habit, because that just sucks up your 1 hour of social media and it's kind of a waste of it. But if you are checking Instagram, scrolling on TikTok between sets, you're probably wasting so much extra time in the gym. Finish your set, set a rest timer, put your phone down until it's time to go for the next set. Pretty sure studies also show that you get a lot more out of your workouts when you do this, so it's a win-win.
The beast
demands sustenance. Are you hungry? Are you hungry? Yeah? Okay, there you go. Enjoy. So I'm about to cook my dinner. This is what I got going on. I'm essentially gonna do like a Moroccan lamb with veggies over rice and quinoa. And I'm gonna make enough for about 2 to 3 servings. This is a pound of meat, and honestly, usually I'll go through this in like 2 servings, but we'll just see how hungry I am. There's not a lot of rice in here, so I'm just gonna add quinoa to it and just cook a bunch. And so I'll have this for, I don't know, 3 or 4 days maybe. And this is a relatively common, but still very useful tip for saving time and still being able to eat healthy is meal prepping. I've told you guys before that I cannot do the like rigid meal prep where you make the same thing for every day for like the whole week. Like, I can't do that. That feels extremely restrictive to me, and like that's the one thing where like if I were to try to force myself to do that, that might actually trigger some like not great relationship with food, or I would just like end up binging on other stuff. I don't know. Can't do it. That's not to say that other people should not meal prep. If it worked for you, great. I really wish it worked for me, because honestly, probably the biggest time saver, but it just doesn't. But meal prepping in itself, great for saving time. But if you can't meal prep, like me, I highly recommend batch cooking. So what I'll do is when I'm doing something like this, I'll cook 2 to 3 servings of my dinner, and so I'll just have it for like a couple days, and I won't even necessarily eat it the next day. Maybe I'll save it for 2 days later. Or maybe I'll put a portion in the freezer and keep it for whenever I want to have food on hand. And if you do that for a couple weeks, you'll have a whole freezer stocked with food. You won't even have to cook for a while. So I'll batch cook meals like I'm about to, like I'm gonna have 2 to 3 servings of this whole meal. And then I'm also batch cooking ingredients. I'm gonna have more than 2 to 3 servings left over of the rice and quinoa. So I'll be able to have that for like the whole week and just kind of be able to throw it into stuff whenever I decide to cook, whenever I decide to cook it. And then my other tip is using other things that are pre-made that have a ton of flavor, so you're not trying to like add flavor. So like, this is one of my absolute favorite things to do, is like go to the store and look for kind of like soups and stews and other things that are gonna bring a ton of flavor, and then just combine it with all this. Like, this is just straight up like, it's a soup. I'm gonna add soup to my lamb as a flavoring. One might think I'm adding lamb to the soup, but once you see the ratio of everything, you'll see that this is more of like a topping slash flavor. But it just makes it so easy, because this is just so much all combined into one. And I'm just upgrading it with a ton of protein, a ton of vegetables, and it's gonna be great. So when you're trying to make great, delicious, healthy food and just save time, that's one of my #1 tips. Final quick tips for food things. 1, smoothies. So easy to prep, even faster to make. You just prep little smoothie bags for the week, throw them in the blender with a little bit of almond milk or something, blend it up, and you have breakfast. It's a delicious, nutritious breakfast that takes you like 30 seconds in the morning. And it doesn't even take that long to prep, so you can't really lose. And honestly, I'll make this my last tip for food. Instacart / Amazon grocery delivery / whatever you have near you. The amount of time that is not wasted, but is spent driving to the grocery store, navigating through the grocery store, waiting in the freaking long checkout line, driving back from the grocery store. There's so much time. So much time. I don't know about you, but at least where I'm located, where my grocery store is located, and all the things in between, it's a solid at least hour round trip from my house to the grocery store to get the groceries, to get through the frickin' checkout line, to get back home. My time is worth more than $10 an hour. Cost about, I think, last time I did it, $10 to do the Amazon grocery delivery. This is a tip that I highly recommend to a lot of people, and I don't usually use, to be fair. Mostly because it is a bit of a gamble. Mostly because the people picking out your food really don't care if the apple is bruised or the butternut squash is just cracked right down the middle. That happened to me once. But if you're in a pinch, if you're trying to save time, it's worth it. So with that, it's now dessert time for me. I'm gonna have some Who Kitchen almond butter and almond crunch milk chocolate. Probably have like half a bar of this. And then while I eat this, another time-saving thing that I do. Is it really time-saving? It's multitasking. I've been trying really hard to set boundaries and not work after a certain time of night, and so I will like watch a TV show, do something like that. And I'm also trying to do my exercises for my chiropractor every day, so I have condensed the two. So at night I will watch an episode of a show and do my chiropractor exercises at the same time. So I'm getting in my entertainment and I'm getting in movement and exercise. So I guess that's another time-saving tip, is if you're trying to aim for a certain amount of movement throughout the day, so not necessarily, you know, like going to the gym 5 days a week, but like just moving. Like if you're doing 35 Thrive, stretching or mobility work count as the exercise for the challenge. And so you can easily just do that for 30 minutes while you're watching your favorite show or while you're watching a movie. It does have to be intentional, like make sure you're actually doing stuff and not just like, you know, stretching your hamstrings for 30 minutes straight. That doesn't count. But you can absolutely get in good quality movement while watching TV. So that's gonna be the rest of my night, just little chiropractor exercises, TV, chilling, relaxing, probably painting. I'm gonna make myself a cup of tea or 2 or 3. I have not hydrated enough today. I did drink an entire coconut water earlier, like a big 32-ounce one? 32 ounces? I don't know, one of the big ones. But it's basically just been that and a kombucha.
That's not good. I need to hydrate. I'm gonna have lots of tea and things.
There'll also be some electrolytes and maybe a supplement or 2 thrown in there, but I won't waste your time with that. Honestly, I just want to be done vlogging for the day, so I'm just gonna sign off here. If you guys have any more time-saving tips, please leave them down in the comments below so that we can all learn from each other. If you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. It really does support me and my channel. I really genuinely appreciate it. Please share this video with your friends, your family, your fitness buddies. If you want to see more content from me all about health and fitness, you can check it out over here to see future videos. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell so you can notify when I post a video, and I will see you very soon. Bye!